Hello and welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Michael Jacobi, executive producer of Jazz on the Plaz and host of Raising the Standards on KCAT Radio in Santa Cruz. Delighted to have Avery, my new friend from Manresa Bakery.
That's right.
I'm not even going to say your last name. Say it.
Ruzicka.
Ruzicka. Now this is going to be a fun interview because I don't know anything about baking.
Wonderful.
I know zero. I am the absolute neophyte, except for the fact that I look a little bit like the Pillsbury Doughboy, and that's from doing that. Between us are some of your wares, as we say. But let's talk a little bit about your background. Where are you from originally?
I'm from North Carolina originally.
North Carolina?
I am, yes.
Now, is North Carolina the vinegar in the barbecue?
Vinegar is in the barbecue.
Okay.
We have Western barbecue and Eastern barbecue, and they're a little different, yeah.
Okay, and what's the...
Western style is the one that's going to have, Eastern style is the one that's going to be the vinegar-based one, yeah.
You don't count Texas and Kansas City.
No.
Yeah,
no,
we just count the four
Just Western
in
and
North
Eastern,
Carolina.
yeah.
Grew up there? Did you go to North Carolina?
I went to Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill?
I did. I went to university there.
Okay.
Political
Went to
science.
a lot of basketball games?
I did not.
No?
I did not. I was kind of
Political science
political
major,
science.
which explains why you're in the bakery business.
It does. It definitely. I was like, there's no happiness here, so
Yes,
I went to
yes.
baking. Yeah.
Now, how did you get into baking? Was your mom, dad, did they cook?
Both my parents love to cook,
Okay.
and I grew up in a house where we spent a lot of time in the kitchen as a family. But my political science background took me to France during university, and I
Oh,
sort
that's
of
not too bad.
yeah, no, it was not. I ended up staying for an extra year, so I went there for a semester abroad and stayed for about a year and a half, and thought I wanted to write about food. And so when I came back from working abroad, I got a job in a restaurant in a kitchen, thinking that would be a good way to sort of get a little perspective if I was going to write about food, have an experience in a kitchen, and I fell in love with working in the kitchen in the back of the house.
Well, and baking, I would guess that almost more than any other culture in France, baking is so important.
Definitely. I mean, even I just was in Paris this summer and experiencing again now that I have.
North Carolina girl makes good. I love this.
But experiencing the fact that, like, every street corner, every two stores is a bakery in Paris, and so that culture is so special.
And what I love about Paris is that I'm involved in the restaurant business here, and in America, you buy a box of tomatoes. Well, in France, you buy 2 tomatoes
Yes.
if you're going to make 2 salads.
Definitely.
And it's
a wonderful way to shop.
It's really an epiphany to eat. I mean, even the hot dogs inside the buns.
Yeah.
It really is that good.
It is. I think that, I feel really lucky I live in Santa Cruz now, and I think California in general, too, does have living that same sort of philosophy where you buy what's for this meal, maybe what's for tomorrow's meal,
Right.
that's it.
Yeah.
It's actually something we can do here, so it's one of the reasons I've been really happy, kind of finding myself in California.
So at what point did you decide not to be a diplomat? Seriously, what was the idea with the
political science? I wasn't sure. I just
Work in
knew
an
that it
embassy
was I wanted to travel. I was lucky as a kid. I got to study abroad a couple different times during high school, and so I really loved that kind of like getting out into the world, experiencing the world. So I was trying to I wasn't sure yet. I just knew that I was interested in sort of the greater political world, the greater being a citizen of the world versus, just in North Carolina. And so I wasn't exactly sure where it was going to take me, but it was something I was curious about, which is what led me to the kitchen.
Now, as a young woman with your family in the kitchen, because there were no bedrooms, they all lived in the kitchen.
We just all lived. That's right. That's right. We had a fireplace.
It
We
was like
stayed
Mother
there.
Hubbard was
it
there.
was one room.
But was there a lot of baking?
There was a fair amount of baking. My grandmother, my mom's mother, is Danish, and so we grew up doing a lot of Abel skevers and all sorts of little, all sorts of special things around the holidays and all year round too. And both my mom and my dad really liked to make bread as well. So I definitely didn't start out thinking I would be a baker. I thought. When I started cooking, I was pursuing a culinary career, and that's what brought me to California as well. Not the baking, but the opportunity sort of presented itself.
Now, I guess it was probably in the last 20 years that making bread has really taken off.
Definitely.
I don't want to say it's a yuppie thing, but it's gotten. It got to be
it
like
became
the
more
in thing to
mainstreamed
do.
again.
Yeah, very mainstream.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that a lot of the trends of baking or the baking world right now are things that I feel lucky to have started baking about 10 years ago, because so much even in the last 10 years has changed. Whereas if I'd entered the industry 20 years ago, there were changes. It did become more mainstream, but a lot of what the fun is, which is where you're getting your grains from, how are you making your product, what kind of product you're making, what ingredients are you using, just we don't have to work so hard to get our customers excited about what we're excited about in the kitchen, which I think if it was 15, 20 years ago, it would have been harder.
How tough is to excite a
I
customer
mean,
with this
you never,
kind
I
of
mean,
look?
if it was, I don't know, 20
So
years ago.
You might be able to pick them up yelling my name. I don't know if you can hear that on there. You are Manresa Bakery. You are certainly an iconic word in this area.
Definitely.
The 3-star restaurant of David Kinch, who's your partner.
He is.
Now, how'd that come together? You decided you didn't get the attaché job in Morocco.
That's right. That's right. So I settled for Manresa. No, I met David in New York. I went to New York after I finished college to go to a culinary program. And so while I was a student there, I met David. He was doing an event they were using my culinary school to prep for the event.
Oh,
and
cool.
so he was working in a kitchen where my class was taking place, and he and one of his sous chefs were using some of the unused space, and I was watching him work and his sous chef, both of them, and the rapport between them, the kind of the curiosity, the focus, but also the sort of humor that I was seeing and observing was really special.
All right, so you meet David in New York as you're at cooking school.
Yes.
And there's one thing seeing a hero like that and watching a bit of his work, and then it's a hop, skip, and a croissant to become partners, or how did that come together?
More or less.
Did he hire you from cooking school?
No, he did not. So we struck up a conversation, and I learned more about Manresa and sort of helped him during that event. And but I really wanted to work at a restaurant where the focus on like the ingredients. So at that point, we were working with Love Apple Farm, and we now have another farm we're working with. But that was something I really like. Making food that you knew where things were coming from and was cooked at such a high level was something that interested me. So I knew that I needed to have like kind of a real job, like as in I needed to have a certain amount of income, et cetera, when I moved out here. So I actually took a job as a food runner at Manresa, which is a front of the house position. And that's how I got my foot in the door at Manresa. So I worked for about 6 months in the front of the house, but in the mornings is when I started making the bread. So that was sort of the beginning of that relationship around the bread. And then when I moved into the kitchen full time, I spent my mornings making bread and my afternoons, evenings working the line. And then after about another 6 months, that's when the bread sort of started to take off a little bit, and we had the opportunity to join the Campbell Farmers Market.
And the rest, as they say, is a very tasty history.
It is indeed.
I mean, when you go to culinary school, is it like, do you have a major? I mean, do you have like,
No.
you learn it
well,
all?
it depends on which school you go to. So I'd done 4+ years of university, and I didn't want to spend another 2 years at a program like the CIA. I wanted to just kind of get a little bit more of, a little bit more confident, and
so you'll learn appetizers.
You'll do all of that,
and do all of
definitely.
that.
But if you go to a school like the CIA, you would pick either a culinary track, and actually the school I went to as well, there's a culinary track, there's a pastry track.
Okay.
You can focus a little bit more, and the same for my school. It depends on what length of program you want to do. So if you want to do 2+ years, you can do multiple programs. If you want to just do a 6-month program, it's just going to be pastry or savory. So I actually did the savory program, and then I did a bread baking program as well, which was much shorter. It was about 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds rudimentary. It's like you take the dough, you put it in the
bread
oven,
making,
right?
yes.
Bread making, but there's a lot more than that.
There's a lot more. But it is rudimentary to a certain degree, and I think it's simple in the elements that are involved.
Yeah.
Bread, flour, water, salt, and some sort of yeast. So either we could be commercial yeast that you purchase, or it could be a sourdough starter. But I think what draws people in and what makes people want to kind of pursue it as a career is the endless possibilities with those 4 elements, and so yes, it is these same 4 elements again and again, but every day it can be different. It's really special.
We are talking to our friend Avery from Manresa Bakery, who certainly knows how to make friends. I will tell you that. We're going to take a quick break. A big thanks to our sponsors this year. O'Connor Hospital, a part of Verity Health, and we'll take a moment to tell you a little bit about them and be right back with the talk of the town.
At O'Connor Hospital, we're restoring health together, step by step together, because care is better together. O'Connor, together in health. At O'Connor Hospital, we're shortening your wait time, because in an emergency, every minute counts. This is our commitment to you. O'Connor Hospital, together in health.
And welcome back to Talk of the Town. I have to tell you, while we were off at break, your assistant, Allison, said, you might want to say Manresa Bread instead of Manresa Bakery, which is the sweetest, nicest way to say you moron.
Allison is very nice.
You're doing the wrong name. And I will do that. Manresa Bread. I don't know where this bakery place is.
Well.
However, you are a bakery, though.
We are a bakery.
Okay.
We are a bakery. So the way that the bakery came about, I was making the bread at Manresa Restaurant, and we had a lot of really positive feedback about it from our guests, and so the opportunity to join a farmers market came about, and so. I had no idea that this would lead to an actual bakery. So at that point, what we called it was the Manresa Bread Project.
Okay.
And so I was making mostly breads, a little bit of brioche, but not the full pastry line that we have now. And so when it came time to that was successful as well. And so when we decided we were going to go ahead and create a brick and mortar bakery, we decided to keep the name Manresa Bread because we just took the project part off. But the Manresa Bread, is kind of the experience that.
Oh, it's a cool name. I wish I'd known it sooner.
Yeah.
Manresa, the restaurant. Mm-hmm. 3 Michelin stars.
Yes.
Does Michelin award stars to bakeries?
They don't award stars to bakeries.
Okay.
We just recently started, we haven't received a nomination, but in the last 3 years, the James Beard Awards developed a award for bakeries, for bread. So it could be bread and pastry, but it's different than the Pastry Chef Award. So fingers crossed one day.
Dumb question, but it'll fit in. Can you copyright a recipe or a
You
bread?
can copyright you can patent a process. So I know there's a woman working on a gluten-free croissant recipe, and so while she can't patent the exact recipe, the process for it, which is a little convoluted because process and recipe are very correlated in bread making, but you'd have to work very hard to get that trademark, but you possibly could, yeah.
That having been said, what makes your bread different?
Yeah, so one of the reasons I wanted to work at Manresa Restaurant was the quality of the ingredients and the kind of passion and focus on technique that are really at the core of Manresa Restaurant.
I'm going to interrupt you. Before you went to work there, did they have the same attention to detail as you brought to the table?
They had the same attention to detail in all of the
not as good
in all of the food making.
Yes.
But in the bread portion, I think that I really love making bread.
Yeah.
And so while people had enjoyed making bread before, I'm not sure if there'd been one person there who had, at that point yet really loved, it was obsessive about bread the way I felt. And so it was a perfect opportunity.
It's like a 12-step program.
Yeah, it's a perfect opportunity for me. So it had been
Do you have a favorite bread?
I really like baguettes. I like all bread, but I think
Is brioche?
Brioche we would call it an enriched dough, but it's a bread.
Focaccia, those are all
breads. Yeah.
Look at that. Bill Jacobi knowing 3 different breads.
Very different breads
and
too.
you make all these that
I
are
do.
shown here.
I do. So we really focus.
Now, did you have sorry to interrupt,
sure.
but did you have experience in this, or you're primarily a bread maker?
I was primarily a bread baker, so a lot of learning went into getting to the place that we're in right now, and we're still learning.
Powdered sugar. What the heck will I do? Oh, I got an idea.
But no, I've been very lucky with this opportunity with Manresa Bread because it continues to be a place where I can learn and now my employees can learn. So we just keep getting better.
Well, and your location, it's a bit of a challenge. It's a little bit like the
Our
studios
Los
here.
Gatos
You
station,
can't
our
get there
location?
from here. but
Our
but once you're there, it's just kind of very understated.
Yes.
Which I think is very cool.
Yes, and that's one of our 2 locations. So we have
And
one.
you're opening in Campbell now. Or
we
you've
have
opened
one in
already?
Los Gatos,
Okay.
one retail location in Los Altos.
Okay.
And then we're opening another location in downtown Campbell later this fall.
Okay.
And that one is going to be actually kind of a continued extension of what we've already been doing. So all of
And
the
the
same.
Campbell will have a happy hour.
It'll have a happy hour. We're going to have beer and wine.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Oh,
Yeah.
Why doesn't that surprise me?
We're going to have sandwiches and small plates. And so it's going to be kind of, our hours in our current locations are 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and we almost always sell out. And so this will be a little bit longer hours and a place where people can kind of come,
Where-
not just at
where
the
in
beginning of
Campbell?
the day, on Campbell Avenue. So right next to a Keys.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
sure,
and Spread, the sandwich store.
Yeah.
Or sandwich shop. Yeah, it's a great location. We're excited.
So take me through this tray. 'Cause
Sure.
There's some remarkable looking, and I'm sure tasting things on it that you wouldn't see in your average bakery, which you're not because it's a bread. Allison's over there. She's got notes going. Tell me about the tray.
Yeah, so just if we start here, this is our whole wheat chocolate chip cookie. And I think this cookie, as well as the cookie behind it, which is our tahini sesame cookie, they both are made with fresh milled flour. And that's one of the things that sets us apart. We mill our own flour. So we buy whole grain, and then we have 2 different mills at the bakery. And so from start to finish, we're creating we're creating exactly the flour we want for each product, which is a lot more control than a lot of bakeries have. So this is all fresh milled whole wheat, and it's for usually a local whole wheat that's coming from San Juan Bautista.
If you're watching at home and you have 20 minutes in the pool, that's as long as it was going to take. Because I can't wait anymore. Oh, Lord, this is good.
It's got walnuts in it.
It's good. It's good. Go ahead, well, you give it a
So then we have our this is our gluten-free, actually. We do a couple of wheat-free items. So this is a wheat-free cake with house-made strawberry jam. And I think that's a great example of a lot of people, we do make a wheat-free product because we like the product, not just because it happens to be wheat-free. So this is made with rice flour and oat flour.
That's a big thing, what you just said. Yeah. Not because it's politically correct, but because it tastes good.
It tastes good, exactly. And it's a great way to showcase seasonal produce. So this one has organic strawberries from Live Earth Farms, which is also a local farm. And then this is our kunaman, which this is one of our, this and the monkey bread are probably our 2 most popular items. The monkey bread is kind of like a pull-apart cinnamon roll. And then the kunaman is layers of croissant dough that have sugar put between the layers. So it's flaky, but also a little gooey in the center from the sugar. It's really good. It's probably one of my favorites.
Now, the process of getting all the calories out of these, did that take you a long time?
It did, but I think I've got it just right now. Yeah.
We don't shrink from that responsibility. We welcome it. Scone?
Scone. So we typically have some sort of savory item. Right now it's been a bacon and herb scone. So it's got smoked bacon, a little bit of chili flake, sharp cheddar, and then a lot of fresh herbs. Yeah, really tasty. And also includes house milled flour.
Okay, you mentioned earlier that you run out normally by the end of the day.
We do frequently run out. Every day is a little different. And we offer a full...
But everything's baked there on the premise.
Everything is baked at our one location. So we have...
Oh, in Los Gatos?
In Los Gatos, but not in the store itself. So we have small little stores that are more coffee shops with all of our items. And then I have one commissary location in Los Gatos where my team works. Because...
Now, because I'm involved in the pizza business, and ovens are so important, and temperature, and how does that apply to bread? Is there are there ovens that lend themselves better?
There are. So our oven is it was built in Italy, or it was manufactured in Italy. They build it on the premises, so it comes all separate, and they build it inside the building. And it's a deck oven. It has gas heat and a lot of steam capability. So it's got 2 different steam generators to help keep the moisture in the oven. That's more specifically for our bread. For our pastries, we're using a rotating oven, And that allows, when you're baking at home, you would maybe halfway through the bake, you would rotate a tray of cookies because no oven is perfectly calibrated. Same thing, but this one has a mechanism, so it just rotates on its own. So it's constantly rotating for even heat and like even baking, which is awesome.
Now, I don't want to use the word interns, but I mean, do you have people that you're training all the time?
We do, and I mean, within our staff, as in terms of our full-time staff, over the course of a year to 2 years, a lot of our team members will rotate themselves through each of the stations. So on our pastry station, we might be on the lamination schedule where you're helping create these doughs, or you might be on the nighttime bake, and then in the bread, the same thing. So we're almost a 24/7 operation. We also do have interns, frequently from the culinary schools, but also from farther afield, either other restaurants or bakeries.
And you make the bread for Manresa's, obviously.
We do make the bread for Manresa. Yeah, we do. So we bake the bread daily. We make all of our products daily, and then for Manresa's items, we bake them off a little later in the day, so that they're going to be just cooled in time for service.
The old story about sourdough, is that apocryphal? Or is there somewhere a ball of sourdough from 1830?
There probably is.
It's still growing.
But I think that, for me, what I love about making sourdough bread is that you're nurturing this starter, this culture every day.
It's a living organism.
It is a living organism, and I think it's really cool because you kind of you have to pay attention to it. You have to feed it. You have to nurture it. You have to know what to do. But I don't personally think that one that is 300 years old versus a year old will necessarily give you better bread. It just means that it is cool that somebody has taken care of it.
It gives you a backstory.
Yeah, if somebody's taken care of it for 300 years, that's cool.
Tell me the experience when someone comes in, since we're in Los Gatos, tell me the experience of coming into your bread. Not bakery, Allison.
Into the cafe or into the production space?
No, into when they come into the cafe.
Yeah, so I think both of our shops are very warm and inviting places. We kind of try to keep them really light and airy with a lot of, and we offer a large assortment of beverages. So we don't have any alcoholic beverages in our current locations, but we have Verve Coffee.
Is there a bar near? I could come by.
There are bars on both sides. And really friendly team that are really passionate about what they're doing and the kind of the knowledge that they have about the products as well. So they're really excited to kind of share that information.
This is kind of a weird analogy, but you may not remember this. There used to be a store called a well-lit place to read. Was that what it was? A bookstore? And it had a very clean, really good vibe.
Oh, good.
And that's what you guys have.
Yeah, I think so.
It's not ornate. It's a very, you walk in and you're hit by the smell. The young people that work there are
very
lovely.
Friendly. Yeah.
And it's you feel healthy walking in. It's
well,
nice.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah, we wanted it to feel like, a lot of labor and a lot of love goes into the making of all of our breads and pastries. And so I really wanted the spaces to feel inviting, but also very simple so that we can really kind of focus on, these aren't jewels, but they're really special. And if you take the time to look at them, they're really beautiful. Yeah.
So I was going to ask you about the future, but you're pretty much making a leap right now with this Campbell concept.
We are, yeah. I'm very excited about it. I think it's, for a long time when we first opened, we tried to do sandwiches, and of course, I'm always wanting to create things utilizing our breads and our pastries, but just the reality of that in the current retail locations just was a little bit too much of a stretch. And so I'm really excited to have a space that's built specifically for us to share more of what we're doing.
I mean, do you see yourself down the line doing paninis and doing
Definitely, no. And there'll be warm sandwiches and cold sandwiches.
Do your own coffee?
We'll be doing it's our baristas, but we will not be roasting our own coffee. We'll continue to use Verve coffee. Yeah, I think that's a really cool
We'll have a beer, but we're not going to have a brewery.
Yeah, exactly. Not yet. Never say never, so.
Somebody that at home and you should go to Manresa Bread instead of cooking at home. But if somebody wanted to get started at home, what do they need to do?
I think that they need to get at least a book. I always really
get a book.
Get one book.
Good.
Get one
That's
book.
Good. And treat live organisms well. You've learned a lot from this show already.
There's a book called Flour, Water, Salt, Yeast that's by Ken Forkish, and what I love about that book is that he gives you a lot of different options for making bread. So, because I think what kind of intimidates a lot of people when they try to make bread is the timing of it all. It can seem really complicated, and I think that's a great book where it kind of shows you just go in there with a plan. It's going to be more than a one-day process,
Sure.
but you can do it.
Do you need, I'm about to go say need.
yeah.
I'm about to do it. Anyway, but do you need the special machines?
No, you
No.
don't need anything other
just
than
need
you need
hands. You need hands.
hands. You need an oven.
You
Or,
need an
but
oven.
you know, alternatively though, I've done some classes where we've made pita, and you can make pita bread from start to finish, and then all you need is a skillet, and it's like a 45-minute to an hour
Really?
project. Yeah, and so that's a great one where you don't even actually need an oven. You can do it. You could make pita, bring it camping, etc. So there's a lot of different There's a million or more different kinds of bread. So one of them will be, a good fit for the home baker. For
Favorite
sure.
item on the menu?
On our menu, the kunaman is.
This is the kunaman?
That's the kunaman. I really love those.
A little too much, maybe?
No, I actually have less of a sweet tooth and more of a savory.
Do
So
you?
yeah, so I'm more of a sandwich girl than a cookie. But I do love the kunaman. I think it's sweet, but it's not actually overpoweringly so. So it's really great with like just a really nice cup of coffee.
Well, it's so exciting to, again, going back to the impeccable and iconic reputation of Manresa, and to have that name joined with the word bread, and you as a partner. I mean, that's very exciting. And,
Yeah, I'm having a good
Los Gatos
time.
is very fortunate, and Campbell about to be fortunate as well.
Thank
And
you.
Los
Yeah,
Altos.
the community's been really
You
supportive.
have a website?
We do. It's just www.manresabread.com. And we also do a lot of pre-orders, so that's a great way to kind of check out that so that
So you can order online?
you can order online, and you order a couple of days ahead because it takes us multiple days
Do
to
you
make.
do like DoorDash and stuff?
We don't do DoorDash, but we
you
do
a
catering
delivery?
boxes.
Okay.
And I think once we open the new cafe, that will probably involve a little bit more of that kind of online ordering for sandwiches and salads and things like that for more catering. Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah, well,
Best
thank
of
you so
luck.
much.
It's sure
Thank
nice
you.
to have
It's
you
been
on.
lovely to be here.
Avery, what was your last name again?
Ruzicka.
Ruzicka. I knew that. I knew that. And it's Manresa Bread.
It is.
I got it right. It was just a matter of time. That's Talk of the Town for this week. Again, a big thanks to O'Connor Hospital, part of Verity Health. Until next time, I'm Jacobi. I'll see you soon.